All right. So, did you hear? Or actually, you know what? I got a better one. What do you call a dinosaur that uses cheap second-rate toilet paper?
I
A
don't know. What is it?
dinosaur-ass.
Oh no,
A
that's terrible.
dinosaur-ass.
That's terrible, but hilarious.
Yeah. Whoops. Whoops.
Oops. What's up,
Pandemic
everyone?
related. Sorry.
What's up, everyone? Today we are posing a simple question to each other and to you. Does a perfect game exist? I don't know. We're going to find out. It's Friday, April 3rd, 2020. Welcome to episode 7 of the Ginger and the Beard podcast. What's up, everyone? I am AJ, aka the Ginger.
And I'm Reese, aka the Beard.
And in this week's episode, the Beard and I are going to talk about what we'd need to see in a video game for us to consider it the perfect game. We'll also spend some time talking about the current games that we consider to be pretty close to perfect, but not quite there. Some latest UFC shenanigans, and some tech news and more. But first, Reese, how's it going, sir?
It's going, man. It's been a crazy week. Been a crazy week. But it's also been, a good week. It's had its ups and downs. But you know what? We're at the end of the week. It's Friday now. We're sitting here. We're talking about video games. Going to be playing some video games later.
Oh, yeah.
Probably going to be watching some TV shows tomorrow. I know my wife and I are going to be cooking out. I'm going to be making some ribs on the grill, probably having a fire outside, so I
Sounds like
just
the perfect day.
oh gosh, so fortunate that, you know, with all of this quarantine action going on, that we're able to, find a little bit of happiness. So how
I
about
hear
you,
that.
man?
Yeah, it's going good, man. It was another long week, but honestly, the weeks are getting better. I feel like. I know last week I was like, oh, I was so stressed out and just like ready to chill and relax on our podcast. I've been super excited about recording this podcast this week, but yeah, the week was a lot easier this week. I feel like I'm finally starting to like settle into this new way of living, and like we're just getting into a better routine, and like our strategies really coming together, and the kids have been a lot more cooperative and things like that. So just I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited and happy to be here. Happy to be here hanging out with you, man.
Oh, dude, awesome. I mean,
But I,
this,
I was just gonna say, I love the sound of what you said for tomorrow. The weather's gonna be beautiful. Cooking out sounds good. Fire pit action sounds good. So if we didn't live 4 hours apart, I'd be there.
I know, man. See, that would be so awesome. I wish you guys just lived like in walking distance,
I
because
know.
then we could just have cookouts and stuff all the time.
Yep.
And we could do the podcast live. We wouldn't have to be, using
Oh,
Discord for it, but
I know.
you know, at
If
least we have
Elon Musk,
technology.
yeah, if Elon Musk would just get it together and get us a hyperloop connecting Virginia Beach with Northern Virginia, we'd be set.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's got to get the Boring Company, figured out. When
Yeah.
everyone was talking about the Boring Company, I was like, "What? What are they? The Boring Company? That's a
The
weird
boring company.
name."
Such
But
a
they're
like he's very bold for naming it that.
yeah.
Like
And
it
then
makes it makes sense, but also it's like that's just a bad. It's probably a bad naming.
probably, but he doesn't care. Like when you
Nah,
ask him, "What do they do?" What does the Boring Company do? We dig holes.
we bore holes, man. That's what we do.
Yeah. We're just out there
Day and night.
boring holes,
Yep.
doing it
Sorry,
doing it better than anyone else. So, you know.
just plugging my keyboard in. Sorry if you guys saw the chord action happening there.
Did you
It's
buy
this
a new keyboard
keyboard's.
yet?
No, this is the same one. This is the same one I've been rocking. The Keychron K1. I've been loving it,
Nice.
and it's been
Nice.
getting a lot of action since I've been working at home. I can't take the keyboard, the mechanical keyboard, into the office, or I might lose some friends. But
Oh,
yeah,
why?
she's grown accustomed to it now, or at least she pretends to be accustomed to it.
Why? They can't
It's
handle
so
the
loud.
clicky?
It's so clicky clacky. They don't like
It's
the
like
clicky clacky.
the Kermit the Frog one. Just click, 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 click. Do you know that meme?
Yeah.
The Kermit the Frog meme?
Uh, mm, no, I know
Oh, I
some
gotta.
Kermit the Frog memes, but not the clicky clacky meme.
I gotta get it. Hold on. I'm gonna show it on stream if I can find it. Kermit the Frog.
Do it.
It's a GIF actually, and it's the typewriter GIF of him typing. So, here you go. Let me show it on stream so everybody can see it.
I'm
Do you guys
excited
see
for
it?
this.
No, you can't see it yet. Oh, it's
Little-
just my
little bit.
face. Oh, here we go.
Yep.
Or no, here we go. Here it is. Transitioning. Boom. There it is.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. See, that's
see it?
exactly what people would think about me.
That is it. They'd be sending
They'd be
memes to each other and being like, "This is AJ."
Yeah. No, the funny thing is, not funny, but upstairs, so like my company is, we have 3 floors of a building in downtown Norfolk. And I'm on the middle floor, and the top floor is where the developers and people sit. And those guys, there's literally like a section of developers who all use mechanical keyboards. And I was like, this is where I belong. I need to be up here with you guys.
Absolutely.
So we can all just hammering away on our keyboards all day long.
There's
You
no
know?
talking going on, just loud keyboards.
Yeah, exactly. Muggle says, I can't hear him. There's no sound coming out. Does she mean Kermit, you think, or does she mean one of us? Hopefully
Oh.
Kermit.
Yeah, good question. I can't hear him. There's no sound coming out. Is it one of us? I mean, on my side it shows that
Uh-oh.
it's pushing out. You can only hear the beard.
Oh,
Really?
no. Oh, no.
Why is that? How about now?
Technical difficulties. Can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Well, I mean, we still
How
have
about-
the audio in Audacity, so I mean, we should probably still just go forward. It started when you showed Kermit. Okay, it should be fixed now. Go ahead and talk, AJ.
Are we fixed
It's-
now?
It is
My
fixed.
wife's also texting me.
Yeah, I know what the problem was, so we could just cut this one out and post.
Cut it in post.
Yep.
Our
see what
our
the-
entire our live audience is very disappointed in us.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys.
Of our wives and us.
We'll do better
Awesome.
next time. Yeah.
All good. Well, sweet,
I-
man.
I am using Stream Elements now on the other side of things. I'm not using it here yet, so maybe that's a solution that we should look into is switching over for the podcast as well. But anyway,
For sure.
What are you drinking, man? Are you drinking tonight?
Oh, I am drinking, and I'm switching it up. Not drinking beer tonight. I do have some beers to talk about, but tonight I got myself this nice big bottle of Proper 12
Oh, Proper
Irish
12.
whiskey.
Proper 12, huh?
You know, you tried it. I was gonna try an Irish accent, but I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna make this work."
You're lucky. Is that the Lucky Charms?
So I've
Proper 12.
got a little pour here. As you
good.
guys know, I talk about beer all the time. I never talk about hard liquor. It's because I don't drink hard liquor very much. I just really not, it's not really my thing per se. It's a very rare occasion that I try it out. But my brother actually was like, hey, I could, if Reese is going to be drinking bourbon next week, because he listened to our episode last week, and he said, I can let you borrow some of my Proper 12 since it kind of ties into the UFC theme and all as well. So I took him up on that offer. Thank you, Daniel. And he gave me some tips also, because I was like, dude, you're going to have to tell me some tips on how to properly drink this Proper 12. And so he did. But yeah, this is my second pour of it. I got a first pour before we started recording just to kind of acclimate myself. And it's not too bad. I mean, it's not terribly strong. I'm also drinking it on ice, so it's a little bit diluted.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah.
Is it going down okay, or how is it rough or what?
No, it's pretty smooth, I guess. I mean, like I said, I'm not really a whiskey connoisseur by any means, but no, I mean, it's pretty smooth. I've definitely had some whiskeys that, just wanted to come up immediately after sipping, but
Oh, yes.
this one's not so bad. Not so bad. And it could be also the tips that he gave me. I actually want to read the tips on stream because I thought they were so good. In fact, I texted him afterwards and I was like, dude, going to have you on the show one day because I didn't realize you're such a wine connoisseur.
Oh, we definitely.
Or sorry,
need
not
to get
wine,
him.
whiskey.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we can ever make that happen.
I think that'd be helpful. But let's hear the let's
Yeah,
hear the notes.
let's check these tips out. So the first thing first, before you sip it, apparently you're supposed to acclimate your taste buds to it by smelling it, right? This sounds accurate. But he said, point the center of the opening of the bottle towards one of your nostrils and smell it with your mouth a little bit open, and then pull it away. Wait a few seconds. Repeat the same thing with the other nostril. And he said in parentheses, I swear there's a scientific reason for all this nonsense. If it smells too much like ethanol, then it's either too close to your nose or your mouth was closed. If you're going to drink it on ice, let the whiskey sit on ice for a minute and kind of jiggle the glass to stir it up, like so. Otherwise, the melted ice will separate the oils, and your first sip is going to rock your world. For the first couple of sips, imagine you're drinking hot coffee. Just sip a very tiny bit and immediately swallow it to get used to it. Once you feel comfortable with it, you can sip a little bit more and leave it in your mouth a little longer. And then this is my favorite part. Once you get to your second glass, you should be good to leave it in your mouth a little longer and roll it around to find more flavors in it. So those were his
Wow.
tips to me, and I've been trying to stick to those.
I just did that, and the first sip that I did after like shaking it up a little bit and smelling it was like instantly better.
Yeah?
Wow, that was crazy. I'm gonna do
Now,
it
I
again.
will say, I'm not, while you take a sip, I haven't really started to pick up on the flavors. It's supposed to be like heavy on the vanilla, and like smoked wood, I guess. I don't know. But I can kind of taste the vanilla, but it's very hard for me to actually pull out. I'm just getting to the point with beer where I can start to kind of pick out some things. It's not as hard with beer, obviously, because usually if it's a citrusy beer, it's brewed with citra hops, and it's immediately recognizable. Like, you don't have to go searching for it to find that flavor. So I don't know. Maybe I'll continue to give whiskey a go. I'm definitely not going to go out and buy bottles like this because it would take me probably 3 years to drink this much whiskey. But anyways, thank you, Daniel, for letting me borrow that.
Thanks, Daniel.
What about you, sir? You showed you had a sip of something there. Can you explain to us what that was?
Oh yeah. So this is 1792, and I'll show you the bottle. Small batch, 1792. You can see there's plenty missing here.
Oh,
Yeah, so might have been drinking some over the past couple of days. Been an interesting
nice.
week. But yeah, so it's a Barton Distillery. It's called Barton 1792. 1792 is also the year that I think it was the year that Kentucky was created, basically.
I believe
but
it.
I'm pretty sure that's right. Fact check me if you guys want. But the distillery was established in 1879. It's still around today. They have almost 200 acres and 29 barrel aging warehouses. That's a lot of bourbon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of warehouses.
Yeah.
And have confirmed June 1st, 1792 is when Kentucky was founded.
Whew, this brain, I tell you, it's not very reliable, but it's got a couple good facts in there. Keep it going. But yeah, I mean, I like bourbon. I have the taste for it. I'm not good at like picking up on all the subtle notes or whatnot, but I mean, it's always like a sweeter kind of taste for me. Not really so much smoky, but definitely get like the caramel, maybe like the roasted kind of nutty taste a little bit here and there. But
Okay.
yeah, so if I'm really trying to enjoy something, I'll probably go with like a beer, like a barrel aged beer.
Yep.
But I will definitely enjoy a nice glass of bourbon on a regular occasion. So yeah, I love it, man. I'm happy that you're drinking some Proper 12 tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't spent enough time like looking into like what actual experts think about Proper 12, but it was cool for him to let me try that out since obviously the UFC tie-in.
Yeah.
We actually got a little bit of Conor McGregor in the podcast coming up. So before we move on from this segment, though, I did want to give a shout out to a local brewery, my favorite brewery in Virginia Beach, which is Farmhouse, Back Bay's Farmhouse. You've actually been there with us before. I wanted to give them a shout out because in the midst of all this lockdown craziness, they've been promoting their curbside pickup and delivery options, and I finally placed an order today and went and picked it up after I got off of work, aka after I got up from my desk at my house today. Yeah, so I went and picked it up and got some pretty cool ones to show. I haven't tasted either of these yet, so I'll report back maybe on next episode. But number one that I've got, this is a brand new release of theirs today. It's a Morning Haze IPA.
Oh, I like the can.
So I got a 4-pack of this, a nice big can here. How many ounces are these cans, these big ones? 16 ounce can. 4-pack of this, but it sounds really good. It's a double IPA, 8.5% ABV, so it's got some kick to it. But the description here on the can is hazy and smooth. The Morning Haze is citrus forward with notes of stone fruit, lime, and tangelo, accompanied by hints of pineapple and spruce tip.
What is stone fruit?
I don't know, but it sounds awesome, doesn't it?
Okay.
Stone fruit sounds like something like monks eat or something.
Yeah.
So it says this double IPA has a full body with low bitterness and a fruity finish. And if there's one thing that I love in the summertime, and now that's warming up, is a fruity beer. How about you, sir?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I love a fruity beer. I like the shandies, right? Lemon shandy.
Yep.
I like sours too. I like wheat beers because they taste like bananas almost sometimes. So, I mean, it's refreshing, right? It just, it's not like water, but it kind of almost feels as refreshing as water sometimes on a hot summer day, which I gotta say I love.
Yes, absolutely. And then the other one I wanted to show off here actually was brewed with a hot day in mind, 100%. This is the 757 Lager. So if you guys don't know, 757 is the area code in Hampton Roads. 757.
Okay.
It's almost a brand in itself. I'm not sure if you have anything similar to that. I know I think Richmond is like 804 or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, 804. Yep.
But like 757 around here is like it's like a brand. Like legitimately, it's like a brand. Sometimes you ask people where they're from, like I'm from the 757. But this was actually brewed by Back Bay Farmhouse in collaboration with the Something in the Water Festival, which is oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name right now? Because I'm happy. Pharrell. Okay, Pharrell Williams.
Oh, got it. Okay.
I just had to sing a song, and then it came to me. Gosh, should not have sung on stream. That's terrible.
It was amazing. I'm gonna clip that and show it to everyone.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, it was brewed in collaboration. It was brewed specifically for that event. So the Something in the Water Festival has only happened once. It was the first time it happened was last year. This giant music festival here in Virginia Beach where tons of like really big artists are showing up. This year was supposed to be obviously Pharrell, Post Malone was going to be there. I mean, all these major headlining acts were going to be there, and it's over the course of like 4 or 5 days, I want to say. But obviously, because of our buddy COVID-19, that was canceled this year. So they had all these cans and they had to do something with them. So they released them to the general public, I suppose. And I had the opportunity to pick some of this up. So I got a 4-pack of this. I almost just want to save a can because it's almost like the movie poster that was never released. It's got some exclusivity factor to it.
Oh, dude, I love that can. It looks amazing.
Right?
I like the colors, the color scheme that they got going on. It's really nice.
Yeah, the colors are amazing. Make waves in the 757, and also it's kind of hard. You can't read it on the stream, but it says here on the back that a portion of the proceeds will be donated to make waves in the 757 pitch competition, which is dedicated to helping young local entrepreneurs. So it's a really, really cool collaboration. They have that event itself. Last year had a really positive impact on the community, and they were excited to bring it back again this year. With as many people that showed up last year, the crime incidents were like extremely low. So it was like a very positive event. People traveled from all over the country to come check it out. So it's kind of a bummer that it got canceled, but I think they will be back next year.
Okay, awesome. I mean, what time? Because I mean, that might be a good thing to come down there and hang out with you guys for Stephanie and I.
Yeah, I mean, it probably again. I think it was supposed to happen in May or June. Um, but I guess at the same time next year. But yeah, we should definitely maybe check it out again. I know my wife was super bummed because Post Malone was going to be here. We did go see Post Malone in concert, but it would have been cool to see him here in Virginia Beach too.
Well, let me know, because I think that'd be really cool.
For sure, man. Absolutely.
Or on the flip side, I mean, I know they have some beer festivals up here, so I mean, it'd be cool to have you guys up here for one of those. But yeah,
I'm always down for a good beer festival.
Oh yeah, same here. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy that we're drinking some bourbon tonight. But I mean, do you want to dive into this this topic that we have for today? Are we going to talk about perfect games and what a perfect game is to us?
Yes, let's do it.
All right.
Transition time.
All right, I'm going to transition. Let's see if it works. Transition starting now. Oh, it's working. We're back.
Oh, hey.
Boop,
Hey,
boop,
guys.
Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, what's up, guys?
Hey,
yes,
welcome
so
back.
for our main topic of the show this week, we're talking about what would make the perfect game. Is there a perfect game out there? Could this be the perfect game? So we're speculating on what would be the perfect video game. This is where we get real nerdy, Reese. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I'm feeling a nerditis. A nerditis is swelling within my in my brain right now. I need
Nerditis.
to I need to talk about my nerdiness, my video game passion.
Yes.
Is there any game right now like that you can think of that you would call like perfect?
I don't know. I don't know that a perfect game has ever or will ever exist. I know some games have been giving like 10 out of 10 scores by certain reviewers and things like that.
Yeah.
But does it actually exist? I don't know. If I had, I mean, and it's so subjective too, right? If I had to pick something, I would say Overwatch is pretty close to perfect game. I mean, and also it's kind of hard to say because games are constantly evolving, right? Like they don't, it's not like the old days where you get a disc in a box and that's the game for as long as it exists.
Yeah.
Usually when you get a game, it's not even finished, right? So there's a patch as soon as you put the disc in the console or you download the game to your PC, there's immediately a patch almost every single time now. And then they're constantly releasing, whatever you call it, DLC, stuff you can download for the game to make it cooler, or you make your character look better, things like that. So is there a perfect game? I'm not really sure. I don't think there is right now, but I think Overwatch, just its replayability, you can come back to it all the time. I mean, the game released in 2017 or maybe before then, and I'm still playing it today.
So I mean, what's the criteria for like a perfect game? Like, why would you say that Overwatch is your perfect game, or like why would you consider it? What about it, I guess, is appealing to you? And then,
I think
let's start there.
Sure. I think for me, it's the fact that, and I think this is where we get into the subjectivity of the matter, right? It's perfect's going to mean something different for everyone. You and I have very similar tastes in things, but games we have a different taste in a lot of. But for me, Overwatch is perfect because, number one, it's super easy to understand. You get the idea, like as soon as you jump into your first game, you're like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do here. There's nothing confusing about this. I have a very clearly defined objective that I have to complete. That's number one. Number two is it's not hard. Like it's not a hard game. Once you pick a hero and you get kind of used to them and comfortable with them, like you kind of got your groove, right? And you understand their abilities and their ultimates and things like that. And number three is it doesn't take a lot of time. You don't have to dedicate a ton of time to the game. For me, I have limited time, so I can just jump in. I can spend a couple hours in there and be done with it. When you progress throughout the game, you don't have to grind to unlock anything. Sure, you get your loot boxes, you get some skins, you get some new, poses and sprays and things like that, but you're not having to grind to get the coolest weapons and the best gear. you're just as well off as somebody who's been playing the game for 3 years when you come in on day one. So those things I consider almost a perfect. The reason I wouldn't say it is a perfect game is because I hated that they never included a story mode, which we're going to get in Overwatch 2. But that's where I would kind of ding it.
So, like, I think the big value factors, the stuff that I can definitely connect with you on there is like the timing, right? Like you can get into a game, within with almost instantly to like maybe like 3 minutes. Sometimes you have to wait longer, but those games don't last long. So it's ease of access as far as it's not like you have to sit down and play for 3 hours in order to accomplish a task like in a lot of other games. Like when you have to do a raid in, let's say, like World of Warcraft, right? Which some people might claim is a perfect game. Then, to get anything done, you got to be playing for 3 hours. And while, we have jobs, we have responsibilities, children, animals, all of those things just make it impossible, basically, for a lot of people to sit there and play for 3 hours. So I mean, I could see the timing of it as being very, very helpful. And that's probably one of those top factors that's going to play into it. Now, when you start looking at genres, right? That's where you're going to get a lot of the division in subjectivity, right? Genres, like a shooter, right? So shooters, action RPGs, sports games, racing games, all of these different things, right? And so, that's something that is kind of like a variable that's outside of our control, and it's so subjective that it would be hard to like put everybody in a box and claim that that's a perfect game. So, but I think something that people can probably connect on and agree with for a perfect game, I mean, I think you kind of need to have that cooperative aspect to it. Yeah, there's player versus player aspect to it, which I think is important, but that cooperative aspect where you're working with other people, I think that gaming has evolved to a stage now where you form connections with other people. Now, you're forming like a micro connection with these people during these matches. You're all working towards a common goal. You don't know their names, you don't know what they look like, you don't know anything about them. You just know that there's a goal that you both have that you both want to achieve. And I mean, you could almost loosely call that like you all have a relationship for the next 10 minutes, basically.
And I can speak to that. Like, games are so much more fun to play when you have somebody to play with. Mm-hmm. Like, since I got the PC and being able to jump in and play with you or Toby or whoever it is, like, it's so much more fun to even play Overwatch. Just to have someone to talk to and like strategize with and like call out enemies and things like that. Whenever I'm not playing with somebody else, I just like I extremely miss that aspect of it.
You get bored. It's like you almost like you could get like a depression feeling almost some ways where you like get on and it's like, well, I want to play video games, but like I don't want to play any of these because I don't have anyone to play with. So it's like, this is a bummer. That's happened to me a couple times.
I totally sympathize with that, man, for sure. Because I usually only play on the weekends, and now I almost always play with you, or I play Overwatch with Toby sometimes. And if you guys aren't around, it's just kind of like, all right, well, this is kind of fun, but it's been like 30 minutes. I'm kind of getting tired of this. Maybe I'll play something different, or maybe I'll just stop playing. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
I like that's I think that's one of the reasons why I like streaming also, is because even if I'm not playing with anyone, if there's somebody in the stream that I can talk to, like it's just nice to have people there, So I don't even like as long as somebody's there, like I get that social aspect to it. If you can have gaming and the social aspects, like those are hand in hand. I feel like a perfect game needs to have some form of social aspect. Mm-hmm. So you said Overwatch. I feel like I have to throw out like something that I would consider, a perfect game, for me right now. And I don't play it anymore, because I've been playing a lot of other games, but The Elder Scrolls Online, and I'll probably get criticized for that, but World of Warcraft's definitely up there, but I feel like the graphics are so aged. So for me, a game like Elder Scrolls Online, where it's a large open world, right? That I was looking for. There's questing, like not just
Yeah.
not just like bullcrap questing. Like it's in depth. Like there's storylines. Like they've developed the storyline of that game. There's You can mold the characters to be what you want them to be. You create your own character. There's the
Right.
social aspect to it, of course, because you're running around with all kinds of other different people. And then you can almost get the timing aspect because, yeah, to really get anything serious done, you have to play for a while, but you can also just log in and just do like a quick dungeon. They have shorter dungeons. There's also battlegrounds that you could do. Um, so, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other things that I'm missing. There's trading. There's marketplace stuff also.
Yeah.
But that kind of game is what I would call like a perfect game, and of course it's subjective and whatnot. But I'm sure that there's commonalities between Overwatch and Elder Scrolls Online that we could both find.
Yeah, definitely. Now I want to ask you, because I feel like you have played these sorts of games require you to kind of strategize with your teammates. For the vast majority of my gaming, career or whatever you want to call it, my gaming, I don't know, the time I've been playing games, I rarely ever, collaborate with randos. Like if I'm not playing with somebody I know, I rarely ever join like group chat or team chat or whatever. And I'm not really sure what that says about my personality. Maybe it's like I just don't like talking to random people, or maybe I'm antisocial online. I'm not antisocial in person.
Definitely not.
But I don't know, just the thought of like communicating with other people sometimes I don't like the idea of it.
Well, you got to think about it. It's a different approach, right? Like when you're online like that, well, first off, you're missing out on like a couple different forms of communication, right? All you're getting is voice. You're not getting the visual gestures. You're not getting the hand gestures. You might not be getting the tonal gestures so much if your audio is not so good. So there's some complications there. And you have to like make an actual effort to talk to people. Like it's rarely does it just like happen, like in casual conversation, like if you're at the bar or something, like it kind of just like rolls out and everybody can get to know each other fairly easily. With online gaming, it's like you could be playing right next to somebody for hours and hours and hours, and nobody takes the time to hit enter and type a message. But like if you walk by somebody on the street, you're almost every single time going to look them in the eye and say hello, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
It's difficult, and it's also clicky, right? Especially with games like Elder Scrolls Online or World of Warcraft, like those games where you have to strategize with other people and get into clans. Those clans they're actually clicky. There's hierarchies in place. People get dominance, like they feel dominant. There's like a power structure that's going on. It's really weird in some cases and complex. And if you don't fit in, you got to move on and find another group, which is weird to me, but it's realistic as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally true. And I think the other thing is the negativity has like spoiled it for me. They're trying to get better about it now. They're implementing new ways, to eliminate people being like super negative and super, dude, I cannot think of words. I don't know if it's
toxicity.
Yes, toxicity.
Yeah.
It's a very toxic culture online. I mean, you and I literally last weekend got into a game of Warzone on Call of Duty. The first game we got in, our teammate was like just dropping F-bombs at us. He was mad that we didn't have our mics turned on, and both of us were like, I don't know how to turn the mic on in this game. It was literally the first game I've played so far. I don't know how to turn the mic on. So chill out, bro. So it was like instant like negativity in there.
Oh, dude.
So
I agree with you so much, and I have to make a point because with League of Legends, which is like one of the biggest games out there right now, some of those people that get to the top, they might not be the best at playing the game. They excel at leadership, and I've watched a bunch of them comment on on the first thing that they do when they get into chat, like what we could do in like Overwatch or any other game, is you like start forming those like those text relationships immediately and be like, hey, how's everyone doing today? This is my kind of game plan. This is what we should probably do. Like, is everyone on board? Like they actually take the leadership role. They might not be the best, but they're so good at like convincing people to go with their plan that it actually they bring everyone up around them and in turn brings them up, which is the opposite of toxicity. When you do toxicity, nobody wants you to win, and therefore they'll lose on purpose just so that you don't win.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. So we talked about now a little bit what our games exist out there that we think are pretty close to perfect, but not quite perfect. And we also are gonna speculate a little bit on if we could invent a game right now, what would it look like and how would it be perfect? So I mean, I don't think that anybody could dream up a perfect game, but I'm gonna go into like what I think would be a perfect game for me in terms of the actual gameplay, the game itself, the settings, the environments, the progression system, things like that I would get a ton of enjoyment out of playing. And my perfect game is not going to be the same as your perfect game, I think, is the bottom line.
Yeah.
So shall we jump into that?
Yeah, I want to hear yours first.
All right.
You know,
I was pondering on this, and I think I started by basically just coming up with thinking about the games that I enjoy and what about them I enjoy, and I kind of started just like picking apart each one and putting them into like pulling the elements that I like from different games and putting them into one, and that's kind of how I got to where I'm at, and to help it be a little bit easier to understand, I broke it into basically three different aspects. That being number one, setting. So what's the setting of the video game? Number two, the gameplay style of the game. And number three, what's the progression system? What's the upgrade system? And there's obviously a lot more you'd have to think about than just those. But those are the main things that I feel like I could, put together a game that I would consider to be pretty perfect.
Oh yeah, those are good. Those are good starting points. Good categories.
All right. So I'm going to start with the setting. So I was thinking about this, and I was trying to think. It honestly, you and I were talking about this before the show. It's kind of hard to figure out, different elements of a game that don't already exist.
Right.
So what I came up with was that something that I haven't seen a lot of. There are definitely video games that fit into this category, but the setting for my video game would be set in a not so distant future. So maybe, I don't know, 50 to 100 years in the future, where technology has definitely progressed substantially, but it's almost post-apocalyptic. It's not a zombie apocalypse, but it's some kind of a fallout. You can almost imagine, like, I was thinking of almost like a Mad Max sort of environment where, something has happened that's caused, the world to kind of segregate again, kind of into different factions, based on like your resources or, your, I guess, different sorts of people and things like that. But it's almost like a wasteland sort of environment, if you can start to picture that. Oh, yeah. And in this world, there is some overarching like bad guys. I'm not really sure who would they be comprised of, but I imagine them being like almost like this biomechanical enemy. So it's almost like a fusion between robots and humans, and this is where we start to get super nerdy, and I'm really excited about it. But yeah, I was thinking like it's some kind of cross between human and machine, and I envisioned it being like, the AI have progressed to a point now where they've started to kind of, it's almost the middle point between humans becoming fully
Android.
Yeah, before the AI has completely taken over and we're all just, living in computers. It's like the halfway point in that scenario. So those are the bad guys. You are a hero, a part of an organization, who's surviving this apocalypse, and whether they're trying to defeat this whole, this whole organization of bad guys or what. I didn't really think about that part, but that's kind of the setting. What do you think?
Yeah, I can get down with that. I could definitely get down with that. That checks a lot of boxes for me. Couple games that I mean, it sounds familiar already, right? There's a couple
Yeah.
games out there that kind of meet that, kind of need already. And I kind of want to add to what you're saying. So, well, first off, like Fallout, right? So it's a post-apocalyptic game. There's, it's set in the not so distant future, but, you know, androids. There's all kinds of, advanced technology going on, and artificial intelligence is wreaking havoc. Sounds a little bit like the Terminator movies, a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I had Terminator in mind. Also, like
Yeah.
Borderlands. I feel like Borderlands kind of has a similar aesthetic.
Yep, I could see that. There's a game coming out that if you like that, Cyberpunk 2077. I don't know if you've got that on your radar at all. It's coming out in September, but it's a first person game. It's an RPG, single player, I believe, and it is, in the future, and a lot of tech, a lot of craziness, post apocalyptic, but not like run down, not like Mad Max the way that you were saying.
Yeah.
It's more like urban, like huge cityscapes, lots of technology. But yeah, you should check that one out for sure.
Yeah,
But
I'm looking at this right now. Looks very similar to what I was thinking.
yeah, but like on the outskirts of the town or something, it would just be like
Yeah.
run down and just like, pretty crappy living situations. But I would love to see, and I'm gonna run off of yours a little bit and
Yes.
say that if 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 you took that game, right, post-apocalyptic, one large open world, um, all one server multiplayer, I'd
Mm,
almost venture to say that if you go into certain areas, just like in the world, right? In the United States, let's consider it like this. If you're in the United States, you're in a fairly safe area. If you're in Canada,
yes.
you're in like a fairly safe area. If you go to um, Cambodia, you're no longer in a safe area. It's kind of like the black zones, kind of. It's if you go there, it's bad. So I'm thinking like in your game, there's certain areas of the game geographically where you're safe and you don't die if you get killed. You can respawn, or nanites can come
Hmm.
and save your body. And they're all tied into like an artificial intelligence structure. But if you go to certain dead zones, right? If you go to these certain dead zones, it's full loot PvP, and if you get killed, whoever kills you can take all of your stuff, and you're done. You have to start over. From
Yes.
certain save points. I could see that. So I think that would be cool. But in one more thing to add to it is your game going to be first person or third person?
For me, because this is again subjective, I prefer first person, or something like over the shoulder, kind of like Gears of War, where you kind of go transition between first and third. Where you
Yeah.
lock onto a wall or something to catch cover, you can kind of pop out into third person. But something similar to that
So
is what I was thinking.
my meet in the middle kind of compromise, right? Is when you're running around in town, or you're traveling, or you're talking to NPCs, and you're not in like battle, it would be third person, and then it converts to first person when it's time to go into battle.
Yeah,
That would be like
yeah, I
that
like
would kind
that.
of like fit the needs, I guess, for some people. I think that
Or
would be pretty cool.
or just give a choice. Like Grand Theft Auto came out, Grand Theft Auto 5, and it was all third person, like a traditional Grand Theft Auto game. But then they came out with the first person mode. So you could replay the entire game from a first person perspective, driving the vehicles and everything, and you get a whole new perspective on the game. Like, why not just come out of the gate and give people the option to play the game third person or first person?
I like that. Yeah,
That'd be sweet.
definitely. Yep, I could see that all day long, man. I think that's a great idea for sure.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, I mean, I can get down
So,
with that game. You still have to develop like storyline and like why,
what
like
has
what
happened?
happened to your character? Like you could go down the route of like he's a young teenager and his whole family is murdered by like a mafia-esque type of group of scavengers. And, you know, these scavengers are working for like a very large, powerful company. And so you have to like work your way up, and it's like a revenge story.
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't get that far into thinking.
Okay, my bad. Let me reel it back.
You see, what had happened was a long time ago. No,
Pen did not meet paper for that.
Did not get that far. But maybe we should. Maybe we should just develop a game concept and try to sell it to somebody. I'm sure that happens every day.
I'm sure it does, and ours would be better than everyone else's. So
True.
Boom.
Good point.
We can only hope, right? We can only hope.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go transition a little bit into actually what the gameplay mechanic would look like.
Okay.
So I was definitely thinking similar to what you said, like open world. I don't play many open world games. Like in fact, probably the only true open world game that I actually spent any time in is actually Grand Theft Auto. So, that I was kind of thinking a really large scale open world, and similar to what you say, you have these areas of where you're just kind of exploring and things like that. But really what I personally would want the game to be heavily focused on is actually the quests / co-op missions. So similar to the Overwatch, like objective based co-op missions that you can play, like they're kind of story based and you have to, extract a certain character, or you have to chase down this bad guy, whatever it is. But I would want the game to be similar to that, where you team up with a group of like 3 or 4 other players, and kind of like Destiny, or kind of like, or even Overwatch, similar to that, you have different sort of classes, I guess. However, where it gets interesting is the classes would be a little bit different. So we've talked about like the modern sort of like biotech, biomechanical sort of stuff. But I was thinking that the hero characters wouldn't have those abilities, so they wouldn't be like, maybe one of the guys, like maybe the tank would have some sort of biomechanical capabilities, like maybe he's a good version of that. But I was thinking there would also be like some magic elements in there too, so that we're distant in the future. We've uncovered these folks who have this special talent that they can conduct magic. They can, put up like little teleportation portals to get you to different points in the level, or help you reach certain objectives. And they could also be healers. You could have an assault class, which is like your typical soldier sort of guy. And also you have to have some range characters in there too to help you get the bad guys from a distance. But as far as like what would the physics be like, I was thinking kind of close to life. So you stretch beyond like the modern sort of advancements of today. So you have like some exosuits sort of capabilities. You take falling damage. So you can't just like, not on Overwatch, you can't just jump off of a building and survive. Friendly fire. This is when I was like, should this be a thing? Friendly fire, I was thinking, would actually deal damage, just to make it a little bit more interesting and realistic. Oh, yeah. And you also have to scavenge for ammo. So where some games turn me off is like, you have to grind out and you have to find all these different things throughout the level, and you can only carry a certain amount of things. You have to take all your loot back to your base to kind of store it before you go out on your next quest and stuff like that, because that's where it gets into, you have to dedicate so much of your time. So I was thinking, you don't really have to necessarily find all this loot throughout the game, but you would actually have to find ammunition to continue using your gun as you go through the level. But you don't have to spend so much time like picking up certain pieces of a gemstone and, a page out of this book that you have to compile all these pieces together to make this certain object. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of where I usually get, I guess my brain, I don't have an attention span enough to like focus on those things and like care enough about them to stop and pick all that stuff up throughout the actual mission.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I like a lot of those ideas. I mean, the ammunition thing, like, it gives you a reason to keep going, right? If everything's given to you at the beginning of the game, it's not nearly as fun as having to find it on your own. But I definitely like the idea of having the questing, requirement, more or less, questing with other people. That's really important. That's the big social aspect to it, but you have like these little micro missions throughout, which is to go and find more ammo and meet these objectives while you're doing the the mid-level to high-level objectives.
Right. Yeah, and I kind of like the boss battle sort of thing. So each quest having like a capstone sort of moment where you have to, defeat this guy who's extraordinarily powerful or whatever. But one thing I was thinking of is I hate, not hate, hate's a strong word, but I don't like when a game is just like, it's just brute force. You can brute force your way through a mission. If you just have enough bullets and enough power, you can just get through the mission super fast.
Yeah.
I would like, to your point, like the social aspect, you actually having to strategize a little bit. So, for instance, I mentioned like the magic character who may be able to like open up a portal, on a whim, or he can throw up a shield or whatever. But it's like, I don't want any mission that you can just run through the first time and like complete it. Like, I kind of like when you have to go through the mission the first time, you die a couple times, and you figure out like, oh, okay, so if I throw a portal here up to that ledge, I can hit like his vantage point. I can find a good vantage point and hit that guy. Hit this certain switch or whatever that activates this, I don't know, giant falling thing that hits this guy and smushes the bad guy. You know what I mean? Like there's some
Oh
strategy
yeah.
involved.
You feel so much better afterwards too. Like it's that whole sense of accomplishment. Because if you play
Yeah.
a game and you just like run through it and you get to the end and you're like, oh, well, I did that in 5 minutes and it really wasn't that challenging. You're like, okay, well this is boring. But once you have
Right.
to, if you have to play a mission like 10 times to complete it, I mean, 10 times is maybe that's a little bit too much, but like 3 to 4 times, 5 times, then it's like, wow, okay, I had to strategize, I had to go back, I had to think about what I was gonna do, I had to
Yep.
plan, all of my steps. Those are good games for sure.
Yeah. And where you actually have to utilize the abilities of each of the classes to be successful. You
Oh
know what I
yeah,
mean? You can't have like a bum tank that goes in there and doesn't do anything. He needs to go in there and do what he's supposed to do, to get the job done.
yeah.
So that's kind of what I was thinking.
No, I love it.
But and the last thing I wanted to say for the gameplay is, for me personally, the quick replayability. So like if you die, it doesn't take you. You don't have to like go out into a menu and then go talk to this. I mean, I do like to talk to the NPC stuff sometimes, but like it's just easy for you to jump back in and try it again. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if you die, you can easily get back to where you're at and just try it again. That way, like, okay, that's solution didn't work. Let me try something different this time. But it doesn't take you forever to get queued back up, find more teammates, that kind of thing.
yeah, absolutely. That's always a frustration when if you die, you have to wait like 5 minutes to get back in. It's like,
Yeah,
just throw me back in, coach. Come on.
one of my biggest gripes about GTA 5, and honestly, I'm not sure what the limitation is here. I think there's some technical limitation. Have you spent much time in Grand Theft Auto? Have you ever played Grand Theft Auto 5?
No, I played 3 and 4, but I never
Okay.
played 5.
It's really fun. But the big thing, if you're playing online, and you actually want to make like a substantial amount of money, you have to play what are called heists. So you actually have to play with three other people usually to do a heist. And there's like a bunch of missions leading up to, like, smaller missions leading up to one big mission, like where you're robbing a bank or you're busting somebody out of jail or you're doing whatever, and that earns you a lot of money. Um, the worst thing about it is if you don't have a group of people you're playing with, you're playing with a bunch of randos. Number one, they could suck and just die super fast. But the most annoying thing about it is it takes forever to find people to join your session.
Mm-hmm.
You might wait 20 minutes to get, three guys to join you, and then just start the mission. And then by the time you're in there, one dude might just want to be a jerk and like just stand there and do nothing, or just like run off the side of a cliff, just to be a troll. Um, or even in like I said, those smaller missions leading up to the big one, you might complete three of those small missions with your one group of people, and then one dude drops out. So then you're back to waiting to find another person to fill his spot. It takes so long to complete an entire
Yeah.
heist, and it's almost
Yep.
not even worth trying unless you have people that and you can rely on to like not bail out.
Yeah, that's where the guild or clan structure comes into play to solve for that. I don't know how if they have those in Grand Theft Auto, but I feel like games usually, they kind of need to have that party up system where you get into a guild. They got to have a good like looking for group, queue
Yeah.
finder, um, so those things are important because you got to be able to find people to play with if it's going to be um, a social type of game, an MMO.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, man.
So what else? You got anything else to add to that gameplay? Like, what would your ideal sort of gameplay be?
I mean, my whole structure would be a little bit different. I got the juices flowing right now. Um, there's a game out there called Albion Online,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is pretty cool because it's like full loot open world, and they have like a good partying system. They have a good, guild versus guild kind of system that fits really well. Not a big fan of like the actual gameplay. It's kind of slow. You have like once you use an ability, you have to wait like 30 seconds to a minute to use the ability again. So I would like that to be like faster paced, but it's top down, right? So it's isometric. And then there's another game called Battle Right. Okay, so when I'm talking about gameplay, those are the two games that I would put together. Battle Right is a game where you're using WASD controls. It's still top-down isometric, and everything is a skill shot, right? It's not point and click. You're not like clicking around to actually move your person from point A to point B. You're not actually like clicking on another character to damage them. Like you have to actually like aim your mouse basically and shoot your skill shot to land it. So a large scale game with fast paced combat such as that would be, in my opinion, very, very fun, albeit challenging for a lot of people. The setting, we can go a lot of different ways with the setting, though. I mean, I could go anywhere from like a Star Wars type of setting, to the Fallout type of setting, to like a extremely advanced, type of setting, while all still maintaining the need for a group, kind of aspect to it where you have a tank, you have a support, you have ranged, you have your damage dealers, you have your bruisers. Like you still maintain all of those aspects of it. And then, on top of that all, you still have questing, you still have NPCs, you still have side quests and looting and whatnot in the areas that I was talking about before where there's full loot versus, safe areas. So all of those things combined with, amazing graphics, of course, is something that, we would definitely want to have. All of that stuff kind of plays together, but that would be like the perfect game for me. But I think a game that could probably meet the needs of like most people, like, have you ever seen the movie, Ready Player One?
Oh, dude, I want to see it so bad. I heard so much about the book. And then the movie came out. Like a lot of the podcasts, or not a lot of, one of the podcasts in particular that I listened to, the guys raved about the book Ready Player One, and then the movie came out, and I think they gave it like mixed reviews, but I want to see it so bad.
So I haven't read the book, but I saw the movie. I recommend you watch it because, like in that movie, it kind of like explains like what kind of like the perfect game would be almost, where it's like you got to think of it as of not just like a single game. It's like a different world that you go into where you have access to all these different worlds, and on every world is a different game. And so you enter the Oasis, which is the game, and then within the Oasis you get points for going to all of the different worlds and doing certain things, and like the way that you build your avatar and like the weapons and whatnot that you give it are applicable in all of the different games within the Oasis. And of course you're in a virtual reality headset with like different body haptics on,
Nice.
So I mean that one fits I think that one is like what you could probably say is like probably the perfect game if people can get down with virtual reality.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I thought about kind of going down that route too, because we talked about this after we stopped recording last week's episode. We stayed on and talked to some of the folks in the chat. But one of the games I play on my phone right now is called What the Golf, and it's an iPhone Apple Arcade game. And I showed you last week how like literally every level you enter is something different. It starts out as like a golf game, as you might expect it to be. You have to pick your power of your shot and stuff like that. But then after the first level, instead of you hitting the golf ball, you swing back and you let go, and your golf club goes flying, and you have to get your golf club to a certain objective, and like all this crazy stuff happens. You have to like throw this giant like sticky boulder, and everything that it hits sticks to it, and like you have to manage to get it to a certain finish line. There's like a soccer element. It's just crazy.
Nice.
So I started to kind of go down that route of like, well, what if there was a game where there's so many different worlds to your point of what you were just saying, like every environment you entered was something different, you know? And I think there are a few games out there like that right now, especially some indie games where like you enter different levels, and like at one instance you're in a first person shooter, and the next instance you're in, you know, a 2D platformer or something, and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of a cool idea.
There is that one where you like, as you play the game, it transitions into different types of games until you get to like the end of it all, and you know, you've like made it through like all of the different levels. I can't remember the name of it, but games like that are pretty cool. I like that idea. I mean, as far as perfect games go, I mean, I'm sure we could go down this path for quite a while. But I think like generally those are like the ideas that I have for a perfect game. It's got to be timeliness. You know, the setting can be all kinds of different things. It's subjective when you talk about the genre. But all in all, you know, we're social animals, and that social aspect is crucial. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Do you got anything else?
No, I think that was basically it. Like I put down some thoughts around like how you could progress through the game. I think the long and short of it really is my personal preference is not having to grind out a video game to, you know, collect enough things to upgrade your guy and stuff like that. Like Warframe is a game that you and I played. You played a lot more of than I have, but that's a good example of like one of those games where you have to like find like different pieces of a certain element, and you have to have a certain number of those elements before you can start the upgrade process for like your armor or your weapon or whatever. And after you have all those pieces, then you have to wait like 12 hours for your armor to finish upgrading. That's not that's not like my preferred flavor of video games. So my thought was that you progress through these levels, and you essentially, after you complete the level, you earn XP or whatever to kind of level up your guy, and that's how he gets more powerful and things like that. But also there's like specific mini quests within the bigger quest, like, okay, get 20 headshots in this game, or defeat X number of this type of enemy, you know, in the quest or whatever. So you could spend more time in specific quests to try to meet certain objectives, to help your guy, you know, earn extra XP or unlock specific items.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I
like that. I mean, I can get down with that. I mean, having those types of quests to keep yourself going and unlocking new and better equipment. I really like the idea of like having like an android type character where you're modding their body out, like giving them better eyeballs, giving them better legs, giving them better arms, better equipment attachments, you know, better regeneration abilities, like all of that different stuff. Like, I think that's totally cool. And I know there's some games out there that have that. I just don't know a whole lot that have done it very well.
Right. Yeah. So does a perfect game exist? I'm not really sure, but that would be, I think what we talked about would make a pretty cool video game. Yeah. So let's try to get that thing developed. Let's pitch it.
Yeah. Let's get it pitched. We can send this podcast to some developers and see if they'll make our perfect games for us.
Yes.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're running short on time actually this week, so we're gonna speed through some stuff really quick. Do you want to transition us into some UFC shenanigans?
Hey, I think it's time for a little bit of transition time. So let's go hit him with the transition. 1, 2, 3, boom. Oh yeah, transition. Do 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 do. All right, folks, we're back. Hope you like the transition.
Hello.
All right.
I don't know why I went to an accent.
I don't know either. I don't know why I copied you, but Ginger, go ahead, man. Tell us about the UFC. What's going on?
Yes, we could spend forever talking about this. We should start a separate UFC podcast. But real quick, we got some terrible news this week. The main event for UFC 249 is officially over. It's officially canceled. Well,
Again? Oh my gosh.
99.9% canceled. So, long story short, Khabib right now is stuck in Russia, and Russia's got a travel ban. Basically, I don't think anybody can leave the country, I think is what I read.
Oh
But
gosh.
so that's the fifth time now that they've been unable to make this fight. And the big takeaway here is that people are going after Khabib right now and saying like he chickened out. Conor McGregor's saying he chickened out. All this stuff. But the fans are super upset, and I totally understand why they're upset. It's a big fight that we all wanted to see. But it really comes down to, what do you prioritize more? Do you prioritize a really good fight over the health of the fighters? And that's kind of the stance he's taking on it. So I have a quote here from him. I think he either said this on Twitter or said this in an interview. And he basically said, like, nobody knows the location, but everyone wants me to fly somewhere. I don't understand this. UFC tried to send me a location almost a month ago. They didn't find one. And then he's saying, what about me? This is my mistake. UFC doesn't send us a location. Where are we going to fight? I don't have a location, so I'm going back to Russia, essentially. He's basically saying, he actually said, my name is Khabib. I'm not coronavirus. He's basically saying, like, don't blame this on me. It's not my fault that this outbreak has happened and caused, us to cancel this event, essentially. So, yeah, I feel bad that they're taking the heat on that. I mean, what people don't understand is, like, these fighters want this fight to happen more than anybody, more than the biggest UFC super fan on the planet, right?
It's their livelihood.
Exactly, it's their livelihood. They don't get a paycheck if the fight doesn't happen. So, what do you guys think? Do you think they're backing out because they think it's funny?
No
So
way.
this is kind of
I mean,
of a bummer.
this is a serious thing. Like his father's a little bit older now. Like, I mean, I don't know like if any UFC fighters have gotten it yet, but I mean, this is serious. I mean, I know that Dana's doing everything in his power to try and keep things going, but I mean, at some point you just have to accept it, man. It's Dana White's got to just forfeit that paycheck, and they just got to accept that it's going to be bad for a while. I mean,
Right.
everybody else is being affected as well. I would love to see them fight, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it is what it is.
we all would. So in the midst of all this, though, like the UFC has been lighting up, man. Like the headlines come out every single day. It's something new, and a lot of fighters are trying to step up and take the place of what the main event would have been. For instance, you've got Colby Covington and Tyron Woodley who are stepping up and saying, like, "Hey, we'll be the main event," and they have a lot of beef.
Yep.
Henry Cejudo, I thought this one was hilarious because I like Henry Cejudo is one of my favorite guys in the sport. But he called out Dominic Cruz and said, "Let's make this fight happen." Dustin Poirier has said, "Hey, I'll fight Tony Ferguson." And then lastly, there's some beef and back and forth on Twitter and stuff between Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal.
Oh, I
And
want to see that.
yeah, their teammates and stuff going back and forth, their management going back and forth, and essentially pointing fingers at each of them, saying that they've tried to make this fight happen so many times, and this party over here is saying this party didn't accept the fight, and on this side it's the complete opposite. So it's kind of hilarious to watch that. But there's talk about Dana White potentially taking like a lot of the fights that weren't able to happen leading up to April 18th's event and like putting some of those fights on the card, like the Francis Ngannou. Um, I can't think of the other guy's name, but Francis Ngannou fight and putting that on the
Rosenstruck.
card. Yeah, Rosenstruck. So that would be interesting if that happened, but it's literally day by day at this point. Something new changes every single day.
Yeah, I got fooled by the April 1st April Fool's joke that Connor was going to be fighting Khabib. Sad day. I thought it was going to happen, and it's not. I saw the headline. I jumped to conclusions. I didn't read the full article. I sent it over to the Ginger, and he was like, "Hey, did you read the full article?" And I was like, "No. What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, you should go back and read the full article." And
Yeah,
well, yeah, come to find out, it was an April Fool's joke.
that's
Shame
way
on
too
me.
good.
I was just so excited. I'm so excited.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah. Oh, well. So yeah, man. The UFC is just it's just all mucked up right now. It's all over the place. I
Yeah.
can't wait for it all to get figured out because I miss my UFC on the weekends. It's been a while now.
I literally told my wife yesterday, I was like, I think I'm having some like UFC withdrawals. I don't remember the last UFC fight I've watched. So I think I'm just gonna have to get on like Fight Pass or something and like watch some classic fights just to kind of scratch that itch.
I think so too. I might have to start watching like some of the up and comers or something and start getting like more involved with them since I can't watch like any of like the large scale fights anymore. But
right.
Yeah. Ah, man. All right. Well, yeah, I mean,
that basically does it for the UFC.
Yeah, there's not too much going on there. I mean, we are running short on time. We're gonna have to cut the podcast very short. But I do want to give a quick shout out for Epic Games, right? So if you guys do play video games, I do recommend that you download the Epic Games Store. They give free games away every week. Last week, World War Z and 2 other games were given away. It was like a $60 worth of video games for free. So this week there's 3 games: Drawful 2, Gone Home, and Hob. Drawful 2 is like a party game where you play with multiple different people. You draw things and you guess what people are drawing, or they tell you what to draw, and then they have to draw it, and you can like rate each other and whatnot. Gone Home is like a mystery kind of adventure where you're like a young girl that goes home and nobody's there, and you kind of just have to figure out like what's going on and where they all went. And then Hob is an action adventure type game with some more colorful type graphics, a lot of nice gameplay. That one's a $20 value. So yeah, there you go. Those are the games that you should be testing out. And Ginger and I are probably going to be playing some World War Z at some point in the near future, and you might be able to catch me during the week on my podcast. Yeah.
Your stream.
My stream. Sorry. Oh gosh, so much going on.
Yeah. This Gone Home game I've heard a lot about before. I'm looking at the images right now. I think this is a game I'd be too scared to play by myself.
Oh,
it looks creepy.
It's creepy. It is. It's not scary though. It's not like jumpy or anything. It's all just like a mystery. Like you're walking around the house, like reading notes, like leftover notes, and like investigating basically, till you come to like a final conclusion on what the heck's going on. But yeah, it was nice. We got through it in just a few hours. So it's a pretty quick gameplay. I don't know how much replayability there is, but for free, It's definitely worth going through once.
Why not try it out?
Nice.
Well, cool, man.
So, yeah. I don't have anything else. I guess, usually we stick around and talk to the audience, but this week's a bit different. I have to run. We have to actually go back out into the public and go and take care of something. Yeah, so...
Well, really put on your face mask. The CDC now recommends that everyone wear a face mask. So
yeah,
3 months into this pandemic, now they're like, yeah, maybe you should wear that face mask.
Probably a good idea. Wear that face mask. Yeah.
When before they're like, nah, that's not going to help anything, man. So
yeah,
good job,
point.
CDC.
Good point. I'm going to have to fashion one out of something. I don't know.
Just put a shirt over your face.
Yeah, there's like a how-to kind of thing where you use like an old shirt, some tissue paper or some tissues, and some toilet paper and some paper towels, and it like should be able to get the job done. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what we come up with. But yeah, I guess until next time, that's it.
Yeah, so I will say if you guys are out there listening right now, like I said, it's a little bit of a shorter podcast. We typically go a little longer, but make sure you go check out our YouTube. We've got tons of clips there, lots of fun clips. We've, some outtakes sort of stuff, but, some longer. We got the full episodes, obviously, on YouTube. Give us a follow there. Give us a like, some comments. Let us know what you think about the show. If you have any topic suggestions or things you want to hear us talk about, make sure you let us know about that. And give us a follow on Twitter, on Instagram. We post updates on Instagram. We post lots of beer pictures and UFC news-related posts. So just check us out. Check us out on all the places.
Yeah. And if you like what you saw tonight, drop us a follow. We'll be back next Friday. With some more interesting topics and UFC and tech news and anything else we come up with. We will definitely be going with a full stream next week. So
yes, cool. All right, Reese. Well, I will see you in a bit, sir. Whenever you get back and are ready to play some World War Z, I'll be here.
Yes, sir. It's probably going to be like between 1 and 2 hours, but I'll let you know. All right.
Word. All right.
All right,
bye,
guys.
everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a great night. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.
See ya.